Hello Zenith women and welcome to the channel. When the world gets too loud, God starts whispering to the ones who can hear the future. Sounds poetic? Maybe. But for Sigma females, that whisper isn't just a vibe, it's a warning, a download, and a divine assignment all wrapped into one. These women aren't just intuitive, they're strategically ahead, silently decoding what's coming while the rest of the world argues over what already happened. Here's a fact. Studies show that highly introspective individuals often detect subtle patterns in social behavior and environments long before others do. Now apply that to a Sigma female, someone who's not just introspective, but also allergic to noise, nonsense, and normality. That's not just perception, that's prophecy, and yet, ever notice how her phone stays dry, her circle stays tiny, and people keep getting removed from her life like expired apps? That's not coincidence, that's cosmic quality control. When someone's holding future-level blueprints, distractions get blocked, not just by instinct, but by design. Welcome to the world of the Sigma female, where silence is strategy, solitude is sacred, and heaven doesn't send notifications. But trust this, when she speaks, she's not guessing, she knows. Let's unravel why she holds the secrets of tomorrow, and why God doesn't let just anyone get near her. Number one, they know the world is loudest right before it collapses. Most people mistake noise for progress. They think if something's trending, loud, dramatic, or everywhere, it must be important. But Sigma females see straight through that illusion. They know the world gets the loudest right before it breaks, and that kind of noise is rarely a sign of strength. It's usually desperation dressed in dopamine. When everything starts getting too flashy, too hyped, too urgent, she doesn't get pulled in, she steps back. Not because she's scared, but because she knows loud moments often cover up collapsing systems. While others are hypnotized by what's going viral, she's paying attention to what's vanishing. The news, the gossip, the distraction, they're all just noise machines designed to keep people from seeing what's actually shifting behind the scenes. Sigma females have this rare, almost freakish ability to feel when something is off, even if it looks polished on the outside. They can sense a downfall inside a spotlight. That's why they don't run toward what everyone else is worshipping. They quietly walk in the opposite direction. When society starts screaming about the next big thing, the next it person, the next wave, she doesn't get excited. She gets curious. She starts asking, why now? Who benefits from this noise? What are we not being shown? That's not skepticism, that's survival. Sigma females have learned the hard way that the loudest rooms often hide the most corruption, and that the real truth, the kind that shapes the future, shows up in patterns, not punchlines. They're not rebellious just for the sake of it, they're strategic. They've learned that when you get caught in the volume of them crowd, you lose your signal. And a Sigma female signal is her most sacred asset. It's how she sees ahead. It's how she knows when to move, who to cut off, what to let go of, and when to disappear. So when everything starts to feel loud, chaotic, and overcrowded, she doesn't panic like the rest. She goes quiet. Not because she's confused, but because she already knows. The noise means something is about to fall, and while everyone else is distracted by the sound, she's already preparing for what comes after the silence. Number two, they recognize fake leaders before they even rise. Sigma females don't fall for polished speeches, flashy titles, or hype. They look deeper, into energy, intention, and hidden agendas. They can spot a fake leader before the world even knows their name. Not because they're psychic, but because they've trained themselves to notice the tiniest cracks in character. The forced charm, the manufactured confidence, the desperate need to be followed, it all reeks to them. They don't need receipts, the vibe is enough. But here's where it gets interesting. They don't expose these frauds right away. They could, and if they did, it would be brutal, but they don't. Not because they're afraid, not because they don't care, but because they know the universe has a far better sense of timing than ego ever will. If a fake leader rises, they let them. They let the show go on. Why? Because some people won't believe the truth until it slaps them in the face. Some frauds need a stage to self-destruct publicly. Some masks have to crack under pressure, not words. So the Sigma female stays quiet and watches, observes, collects data. She doesn't warn everyone around her. She knows most people are too mesmerized by charisma to listen anyway. If she did speak up, they'd label her a hater, too intense or jealous. So she lets them play their game, and she plays the long one. Then one day, when the cracks finally explode and the fake leader collapses under the weight of their own ego, people are stunned. But not her. She already knew. She just didn't need to prove it. That's the power of holding truth with discipline. When you see the fall coming before the climb even begins, you don't chase applause. You just trust the timing and let karma finish what your intuition started. Number 3, they're born with a mind wired for patterns, not pleasantries. Sigma females move differently because their brains are tuned to a frequency most people miss entirely. They're not wired for small talk, compliments, or fitting in. They're wired for patterns. When they walk into a room, they're not wondering who likes them. They're studying who's faking confidence, who's about to implode, and what unspoken rules are holding everything together. It's like their mind runs constant silent diagnostics, reading between the words, spotting inconsistencies in behavior, catching emotional shifts no one else notices. While most people need things to happen before they react, Sigma females are already 5 mental steps ahead because they've seen it coming. They don't wait for the drama to explode. They pick up on the friction way before it sparks. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. And it's almost uncomfortable how right they usually are. That's why they're never impressed by surface-level charm or popularity. They've seen too many smiling faces hide chaos. They've watched systems collapse that were built on false peace. And they've learned that if you study long enough, people always give away their next move, even when they think they're being unpredictable. This constant pattern reading makes them appear cold to some people. But they're not cold. They're calculating. If something feels off, they won't smile through it just to keep things pleasant. Pleasantries are for people who need approval. Sigma females want alignment, accuracy, and truth. If that means they look distant or intimidating, so be it. Their brain doesn't rest on the surface. It dives deep into cause and effect, into the emotional undercurrents of a conversation, into the hidden power dynamics in a room. They don't need to be told what's going on. They sense it. And that ability, that quiet, relentless decoding of the world around them, is what makes them one of the most misunderstood yet most potent forces walking quietly among us. Number 4, they understand that visionaries are always misunderstood first. Sigma females don't waste their breath trying to explain themselves to people stuck in the present. They know they're already mentally living in a future most people haven't even considered. Their ideas, instincts, and decisions often feel off to others, not because they're wrong, but because they're ahead. And when you're ahead, you will be misunderstood by default. That's not a curse to them. It's confirmation. Confusion from the crowd means they're on the right frequency. They've learned that most people don't understand vision until it becomes hindsight, so they don't bother shrinking themselves to be digestible. They move in silence, trust their timing, and let the results do the explaining. By the time others finally catch up, the Sigma female is already on to the next evolution. She's not addicted to being understood. She's addicted to accuracy. She doesn't care if her path makes sense to you. It makes sense to reality, and that's what matters. When people label her too intense, too abstract, too detached, or too different, she doesn't flinch. She knows it's a pattern. Visionaries get laughed at, ignored, and judged, until the thing they were mocked for becomes the very thing the world can't live without. And by then, the Sigma female has already built a whole new paradigm while everyone else is still catching up to the last one she quietly predicted. She doesn't need applause in the moment. She'd rather be doubted now than diluted forever, because she knows what happens to the ones who give in just to be understood. They lose their edge. They trade power for approval. And once you start explaining your depth to shallow minds, you drown in the translation. Sigma females don't do that. They let the misunderstanding happen. In fact, they welcome it, because they understand the golden rule of true vision. If everyone gets it right away, it probably isn't the future. It's just a recycled version of the past with better filters. Number 5, God blocks distractions because their focus is a weapon. For Sigma females, focus isn't just a skill, it's sacred. It's how they channel their instincts, download ideas that don't exist yet, and solve problems no one else even sees. When their focus is sharp, they're unstoppable. So when something starts messing with that focus, people, jobs, relationships, even random drama, the universe doesn't play games, it removes the threat. Not slowly, not politely, sometimes with chaos, sometimes with silence, but always with precision. To outsiders, it can look brutal. Friends ghosting, jobs falling apart, lovers walking away without closure. But Sigma females know better. That's not life being cruel, that's divine interference, that's spiritual protection kicking in because she's sitting on information that can't afford to be tainted by noise. If she gets too distracted, too emotionally entangled, she starts losing clarity. And clarity is how she sees the future, so the distractions get wiped. It's not always convenient, sometimes it hurts, but the Sigma female has been through enough to know that when something suddenly leaves, it's often because it was draining her in ways she hadn't fully noticed. That flaky friend, a walking energy leak, that relationship, more about survival than growth, that job, a cage disguised as a paycheck, gone, all of it. And once the fog clears, she always sees the truth. She wasn't losing, she was being cleared. The reason this keeps happening to her isn't because she's cursed or unlucky, it's because she's being trusted with visions, with insight, with power that can't be delivered into a chaotic mind. God doesn't give futuristic downloads to someone buried in petty group chats or drowning in emotional dead weight. So the cleanup happens fast and often, not to hurt her, but to shield her, because her focus is a weapon, and if it's aimed right, it changes lives. But if it's clouded, it turns inwards and destroys her. Sigma females live in a constant state of cosmic protection. Not everyone gets it, and not everyone survives the purge, but those who do, they see her rise quietly, relentlessly, and with no dead weight holding her brilliance hostage. Number 6, they don't chase purpose. They engineer it from scratch. Sigma females were never built to follow the map. They are the cartographers. While most people obsess over finding their purpose, chasing opportunities, or looking for signs, Sigma females are already building things out of thin air. They're not waiting to be called. They're calling themselves. There's no job posting, no mentor, no permission slip. Just a strange, relentless inner knowing that says, this doesn't exist yet, but it needs to. And instead of waiting around for someone else to start it, they get to work. People don't always understand it. They look at her like she's crazy, like, who does she think she is? That's because society is trained to only trust what's already been done, already approved, already successful. But Sigma females know the future doesn't get built by playing it safe. It gets built by people who can take an invisible idea and treat it like it's more real than anything the world has seen so far. That's not delusion. That's vision with teeth. She doesn't wait for her calling to show up in a dream. She watches the gaps in the world. The things no one's talking about, the systems that are quietly failing, the people being overlooked. And from that silence, she engineers her purpose like a blueprint only she understands. It's messy, it's non-linear, it's full of moments where she doubts everything, but it's also raw, unfiltered creation. And that's what separates her from the masses. Because the truth is, most people just want to be told what to do. They want a lane to stay in, a boss to follow, a path to walk. Sigma females don't care about lanes. They don't care if no one's ever done it before. They'd rather be misunderstood for building something original than praised for copying someone else's formula. That's why they scare people, not because they're reckless, but because they're independent of the system. They're not just thinking outside the box. They melted the box down and used the ashes to write their own rules. So while the world chases trends and clings to templates, she's quietly crafting blueprints for something the rest won't understand until they're living in it. Number 7, they attract chaos right before leveling up. For Sigma females, chaos isn't a sign that they're off track. It's a confirmation that the next level is loading. Right before their biggest breakthroughs, life tends to fall apart in the most inconvenient, messy, and frustrating ways. Things that once felt stable suddenly collapse. People they trusted switch up, plans go sideways. And while most would spiral into panic, Sigma females do something different. They sharpen their focus and brace for the shift. They've been here before and they know what it means. They've learned that the universe doesn't just hand out upgrades for free. It tests. It pokes holes in your armor to see if your foundation can handle more power, more visibility, more responsibility. It doesn't ask politely. It throws chaos like a final exam, not to punish but to prepare. And Sigma females, they pass that exam not by complaining but by recalibrating, fast. They don't look for someone to blame. They don't collapse into victimhood. They step back, observe, and think, what is this trying to burn out of my life? Because chaos, to them, is often just a purge disguised as a crisis. It removes what can't go forward, dead weight, emotional baggage, outdated thinking, toxic connections. And once the smoke clears, what's left is cleaner, sharper, and aligned with the level they're stepping into. It might look like bad luck from the outside, but they know better. The storm is the filter. It's how the universe checks if they've truly outgrown what they say they have, if they still get triggered by the same nonsense, if they still fall for old patterns, if they still react instead of respond, then they're not ready. But if they remain calm in the middle of it all, focused even when everything screams for attention, then that chaos becomes the confirmation. You're ready. That's why Sigma females never fear destruction. They know creation hides inside it. They've been through enough storms to recognize the signs. So when life starts falling apart again, they don't lose their head. They quietly prepare their crown. Because they understand one truth that most miss. Every level up demands a breakdown, and they don't run from that truth, they own it. Number 8, they walk away from comfort, because comfort breeds delusion. Sigma females don't cling to comfort the way most people do because they've seen what it really does. It numbs your instincts and convinces you you're safe when you're actually stuck. They can sense the moment comfort turns from rest into rust. When the days start blending together, the conversations get shallow, and the fire inside starts flickering out. They don't wait around hoping it'll reignite. They walk. Even if everything looks perfect on the outside, even if it makes no sense to anyone else, they're not reckless. They're wired for alignment, and they can feel when they're out of it. The moment a relationship starts coddling their insecurities instead of sharpening their growth, it's already dead to them. When a job pays well but drains their soul, they start mentally clocking out long before they hand in their resignation. Comfort isn't a reward to them, it's a red flag, because they know too much ease creates illusions. It tells you you're evolving just because you're not suffering. But Sigma females don't confuse peace with progress. They need movement, challenge, and clarity. That's why they'll often walk away from situations most people would cling to. Not because they're cold-hearted, but because they refuse to betray their future for temporary softness. They know the next version of themselves isn't born in cozy routines and predictable days. It's born in uncertainty, the kind that wakes you up, strips away your ego, and forces you to level up. They're addicted to that edge, not because it's glamorous, but because it's real. And yeah, people call it dramatic. You had a good thing going, why ruin it? But Sigma females don't settle for good when their intuition is screaming there's something greater. They don't play safe with their potential. If something starts dulling their clarity, distorting their inner voice, or turning their power down, it has to go, no matter how soft the pillow is. Because they know comfort, left unchecked, breeds delusion. It tricks people into thinking they're free when they're actually sedated. But Sigma females didn't come here to nap through life. They came to break molds, build new paths, and hold the future in their hands, even if it burns. Number 9, they have the gift of knowing when to be silent during other people's storms. Sigma females understand something most miss. Not every crisis needs their input, and not every storm is theirs to calm. When someone else is caught in a whirlwind of chaos, their first instinct isn't to jump in with advice, pep talks, or fix-it energy. They hold back because they've seen too many times that trying to rescue someone prematurely just delays the inevitable growth that comes from hitting rock bottom. They get that sometimes the universe needs to shake things up violently to crack open a person's mind or spirit. No pep talk, no motivational speech, no quick fix can replace the raw clarity that only pain and chaos bring. They know that interfering too early cheats people out of their own awakening, and they don't want to be the band-aid when what's needed is a surgical breakthrough. Silence is their gift here. It's not cold or uncaring, it's deeply wise. They watch the storm not as bystanders, but as patient observers who respect the natural order of growth. They understand that divine chaos isn't punishment, it's a wake-up call, a brutal but necessary disruption that shakes illusions to the core. And the Sigma female respects that process enough not to short-circuit it with premature interventions. That doesn't mean they abandon people, it means they wait for the right moment. When the storm settles, when clarity emerges from the wreckage, that's when they step in, with empathy, understanding, and guidance that aligns with true growth. Until then, they hold space quietly, knowing that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is simply not interfere. Their silence becomes a powerful statement. Growth is messy, painful, and deeply personal. No one else can do the hard work for you, and if they tried to do it for you, you'd miss the point entirely. Sigma females embody this brutal honesty with a sprinkle of compassion, and that rare combination is what makes them guardians of future wisdom, not just passive bystanders in present chaos. Number 10. They don't talk about their visions because most people will pollute them. Sigma females are masters at guarding their inner world because they know that sharing a vision isn't just words, it's energy. They don't throw their dreams around like party favors or gossip fodder. They understand something most people never realize. When you tell the wrong person about your plans, ambitions, or breakthroughs, it's not just risk of betrayal, it's the risk of energy contamination. Every idea carries a vibration, a frequency that fuels momentum, but every doubt, judgment, or careless comment from the wrong listener acts like static, scrambling that frequency and slowing down the flow. A curious ear, even one without ill intent, can unknowingly inject fear, skepticism, or distraction. That subtle shift can derail even the clearest vision before it takes form. So, Sigma females keep their blueprints locked away. They don't need approval, validation, or good advice from well-meaning strangers or toxic acquaintances. Their vision is sacred, almost like a fragile ecosystem that thrives on focus, faith, and fierce protection. They're not secretive out of paranoia, they're strategic. They know that to protect what's unfolding inside, silence is the strongest armor. This doesn't mean they isolate themselves completely. It means they choose their confidants like rare gems. Only those who vibrate at a similar frequency, who respect the gravity of creation without messing with the process, get a glimpse. Everyone else? They stay in the dark. Because the wrong words, the wrong energy, can turn something revolutionary into a mess of confusion and doubt. In a world that glorifies oversharing and constant updates, Sigma females swim upstream with deliberate quietness. They know that what you whisper in shadows is often louder and more powerful than what you shout to the crowd. Their future isn't a public event. It's a carefully nurtured secret garden, growing strong beneath the surface, ready to bloom when the timing is right. Number 11, they're rarely surprised because their mind is already there. Sigma females have this uncanny ability to be mentally 10 steps ahead of everyone else. When others are blindsided by sudden twists, whether it's a breakup, a job loss, or a betrayal, Sigma females have often already mapped out the whole scenario in their minds long before it unfolds. It's not magic or psychic powers, it's just a relentless habit of observing patterns, inconsistencies, and tiny signals that most people dismiss as noise. They don't blurt out warnings or play the know-it-all because they understand the future isn't negotiable. It doesn't bend to opinions or pleas. If something's coming, it's coming, and fighting that only wastes energy. So instead of stirring the pot or sounding alarms that fall on deaf ears, Sigma females keep their insights close to the vest. They watch, prepare, and adapt quietly. Their silence isn't apathy, it's a strategic choice. They know that trying to force awareness on others before the time is ripe can backfire, causing resistance or doubt. It's like trying to explain a spoiler before someone's ready to watch the show. It ruins the impact and usually causes more confusion than clarity. Because their minds are already living in the what's next, Sigma females move through life with a steady calm that borders on unshakable. Surprise for them is a rare luxury. Instead, they treat unexpected events as confirmations that their internal radar is sharp and their instincts reliable. This mindset makes them appear almost untouchable in crisis or chaos. While others scramble, Sigma females navigate with quiet confidence, ready to pivot or act because they've already lived through the possibilities internally. The present moment is just the arrival of what their mind has been rehearsing all along. That's why they rarely panic or second guess. They're not reacting, they're simply unfolding the future they've already known. The future isn't given to the loudest voice, it's entrusted to the quietest storm. Sigma females don't chase attention. They don't fight to be seen, heard, or validated by a world that's too noisy to even recognize what's real. Instead, they slip past the chaos unnoticed, carrying codes that can shift timelines, dismantle illusions, and rewrite the rules from the inside out. They're not loud because they don't need to be. Power that's real never has to announce itself. It just moves differently. These women don't just sense the future. They are the blueprint of it, not because they begged for the role, but because they were built for it. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's storage. Their distance isn't cold, it's calculation. Their calm isn't weakness, it's weaponized patience. God doesn't hand out rare assignments to people who need applause. He gives them to the ones who can protect them without losing themselves in the process. That's why distractions are blocked from their lives. Not because they're cursed, but because they're too valuable to be wasted on things that drain them. Fake friends get removed. Shallow lovers fall away. Comfort zones get burned to the ground. It's never punishment. It's divine quality control. Anything that can't survive the weight of the vision gets cut off before it becomes a liability. And yes, it can be isolating. It can feel like walking blindfolded through a world that doesn't speak your language. But the Sigma female doesn't flinch. She understands her role. She knows her silence holds systems. Her instincts carry maps. Her timing, though often misunderstood, is not a delay, it's divine precision. The truth is, the world isn't ready for her until she finishes becoming what she was sent here to be. And by the time it catches up, she won't need the credit. Because she didn't do it to be seen. She did it to obey the assignment, to hold the secrets that birthed the shift, to protect the future, and quietly deliver it right on time. Let the world sleep. Let the noise keep talking. The future isn't in the crowd. It's in the hands of the few who were chosen to carry it silently, precisely, and without permission. The Sigma female doesn't just predict what's next, she is what's next. If this hits you right in the truth, don't just scroll away like nothing happened. Hit that subscribe button, because this channel, it's built for minds like yours, the ones who get it before the world catches up. Like the video, to let the algorithm know we're not here for surface-level fluff. We're here for depth, clarity, and raw, unfiltered power. Drop a comment below and let's hear your take. Whether you're a Sigma female walking this path or someone finally understanding one, your voice matters in this space. And most importantly, share this with someone who needs it. Maybe they're losing faith in their timing. Maybe they're carrying a vision and feeling misunderstood. Remind them they're not crazy. They're just early. We don't build empires in silence just to keep them hidden. We pass the torch. Now go do what Sigma females do best. Quietly change the game, and I'll see you in the next one.